Hey guys, so this milk sealed vessel has been sitting here for almost an hour with 3 quarts of water in it. And my first observation is it is slightly damp on the outside, but it's very, very slightly damp. There is a tiny little wet spot on the surface of the workbench here, but it's really minuscule. And like I said, you might grab it and not notice it was damp. So I think it's really well sealed. And in a minute, when my alarm goes off, I'm going to pour this out and we're going to measure how much water we've lost in an hour. There it is. All right. It's been 1 hour with this 3 quarts of water in it. Let's see what we got. All right, so here's the story. A couple months ago, I made that video of me sealing earthenware pottery for use in cooking and eating out of. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll put the link to that right over here so you can check that out if you want. In that video, I used starch and oils to seal different vessels, and then I tested how well they were sealed based on the different sealing methods. It wasn't super scientific, but it was educational. The one really big sealing method that I didn't attack on that particular episode was milk sealing. And the main reason was both the oil and starch sealing were used in prehistoric times by people here in the Southwest. But that doesn't answer the whole story, and that is this earthenware usable? Can it be used for eating out of, for cooking in? Can it be sealed to a reasonable degree so that it is usable for things? And in that case, it doesn't matter what was used historically or traditionally here in the American Southwest. What's important is what's effective. So at the time I made that video, I talked about milk sealing, and I mentioned that my friend Mats Merman had been doing some experiments with milk sealing, and that I was going to talk with Mats about doing a video with him. But other things came up in Mats' life, and he just doesn't have time to make that video. So I'm forging ahead with the milk sealing episode by myself. So when I was preparing for that episode early in the summer, I had this pot, and so I was going to try this one for milk sealing. And so at that time, I actually soaked the milk into it. So let me go back, show you the video I shot back then when I was soaking this vessel in milk, and then I'll come back and explain to you where I'm at and how I went forward from there. Let's see now. In preparation for the milk sealing episode that I'm going to film with Mats at a later date, I need to soak this jar in milk and then let it dry out fully. So I figured morning was the best time to do it so that I could get it soaked and dried out before it started to spoil. I almost did it at night, and then I thought, no, I don't think I want it drying overnight. I want to dry it in the hottest part of the day. So first we're going to find out if the capacity of this jar is a half a gallon. And it's pretty close. It's not quite a half a gallon. So I'm going to let this sit like this for a while. I have it in this tub so that if it leaks, if it oozes out, I can reuse that milk to soak it on the outside. So I'll let it sit like this for a while, and then maybe I'll rotate it and let it soak some on the outside. I just wasn't sure how best to approach it without using gallons and gallons of milk, which, you know, wouldn't be good. Well, costly, let alone wasteful. So let's let it soak like this with the milk on the inside. If it doesn't soak all the way through, I can pour milk in the tub and then lay it on its side and rotate it a little bit, let it soak through. So the goal is to get the pottery completely saturated with milk and then to let it dry out. Okay, so I soaked it, I set it out in the hot Tucson sun and dried it in a hurry. In a matter of maybe an hour or so, it was all dry. And what I ended up with was a coating of milk, not just inside of the pot, which is where I want it to seal it, but I also ended up with a lot of milk on the outside and the inside of my vessel. Quite a thick layer of milk. Now, once you've soaked the vessel with milk and dried it, then you heat it up. Now the heating causes it to change somehow and is what actually causes the milk sealing to take place. So it's not just that it's soaked with milk, but then once you heat it up, it changes, it transforms what's in there. And so from what I understand, the goal is to get it really hot without burning it. So we don't want to burn the milk. We could burn the milk out of the vessel, and that's not what we want to accomplish. Now, the fact that we don't want to burn the milk out also tells me that a milk-sealed vessel is no good for cooking because you can't put it directly on the fire. What I did was I just took this along when I did a pottery firing recently. And after the pottery firing, I had a big pile of very hot coals, and I just sat it next to the coals, rotated it around a little bit, made sure it got warm this way and that way. And you can see where it's getting warm and toasted in that the milk is changing it into a darker color. So I heated it up real good all around on the fire. Now you don't have to take it out to a hot fire the way I did. You can do it right in your kitchen oven. Just turn that oven all the way up and let it sit there and cook for a while. And that'll do the same thing. If you have a fireplace, you can do it in front of a fireplace. You could do it in a toaster oven. It doesn't have to be in a kiln. It certainly doesn't have to be a campfire or anything like that. Although, you know, it's fun to go out and do it by a campfire as well. Just as I said, if you are doing it by a fire, don't put it in the fire and burn the milk out of the vessel. You're defeating your purpose. A lot of the information I've been able to read about milk sealing has advised me that after you soak it in milk, you wipe off the surface milk. And the reason that's important is it's hard to get off afterward. Once you've baked it especially, it's really hard to get off. So after I got done heating it up and I got home, then I started looking at the milk scum that I had inside and out and realized what a problem that was. So I spent a good deal of time this morning scrubbing on this, trying to get all the milk off of it. And like I said, I got most of the milk off of the outside. There's still some areas with some residue, but the inside still has quite a bit of white areas. And I know I could scrub it all off if I worked at it, but it's, you know, you ever clean a pan that's really got whatever you cooked in it, it's just baked on there? That's where I'm at with this milk. So since I'm probably not going to be using this for anything other than an experiment to see how milk sealing works, I wasn't motivated enough to get it all off because it was a big chore. In the future, if I did this again, I would wipe that milk off before I dried it while it was still damp and save myself a whole lot of work. I don't know if it's because of the milk on the outside or maybe because of the milk on the inside, but there is a slight sour milk smell about, you know, the damp inside of this vessel. So perhaps over time that will dissipate. Now, a note about the milk, and Mott's told me this, it doesn't have anything to do with the milk fat. So you don't have to use whole milk. You can use like 1% or skim milk or something with a low fat content. It's actually the proteins that are causing the sealing, not the fat. So now I've got the pot, I'm ready to go. I was ready to do my experiment. So what I did was I measured to find out what the capacity of my jar was. I found out it's something over 3 quarts. I just needed a nice round number so that I could pour that much water into it and then measure the water once I got it out. So it holds over 3 quarts. I measured out 3 quarts in my graduated pitcher and poured that into the pot. And then, as you saw in the beginning of this video, after an hour, poured it out into the vessel, and we're gonna see what we've got. And it looks like I am still at 3 quarts. I'm literally still at 3 quarts. So, I mean, I lost some moisture. I know I did. Like I said, the bottom of the pot is slightly damp. It's not really damp, but it's slightly damp. And there was a wet spot on the workbench, a very small, smaller than a dime wet spot on the workbench. But according to this, I'm still at 3 quarts. So whatever it was down, it was minuscule. So this is by far, compared to the other sealing methods that I've tried, the oil and the starch from the cornmeal, this is by far the superior sealing method so far. Now, it has its limitations too, in that I want to be careful if I was cooking in this, not to cook out that milk. And then there's that slightly sour smell. Now, I haven't experimented enough to know if that's going to go away over time or if that's just because I have that residue in there, but you know, if I was eating dinner in this, that wouldn't especially make me hungry. Although, you know, there's something to be said for that, right? I'm on the milk sealed dinnerware diet plan, Every day my wife serves me dinner on milk sealed pottery, and you know what? I don't eat as much because it kind of ruins my appetite. Think about it. I might be onto something here. All right, guys, I appreciate you coming along with me today on my adventure, learning about milk sealing. You know, we're learning together. I'm learning too, but I think it's fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, trying to figure these things out. If you want to see that video where I tested the oil and the starch sealing of pottery, I'll put up that video right over here so you can check that out. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.